Hey, all, welcome to Challenge Accepted. I am Frank, and I'm joined by Thomas.
What's going on, everybody?
Today, we're talking How I Met Your Mother, Season 2, Episode 6, Aldrin Justice. All right, this is a classic one. In my opinion, remembering Aldrin Justice is a thing. It's an era situation for How I Met Your Mother because it's when she's not with Marshall. That's only a specific time that happens.
Right. Yeah, it's her coming back from her adventure in San Francisco of trying to find herself. And it didn't look like it went super well. And this kind of sets up their relationship moving forward, and this is brought back up, I think, even in the last season. So it's a very foundational episode for Marshall and Lily.
Yes. I think it's only a couple episodes because she's now realizing, like, you know what, I'm meant to be a teacher in this one. And
right.
And that kind of sets her career for the future. And I think it's just like a couple more episodes that he realizes, like, no, nobody's better than Lily. He even like tries to go dating. It's so awkward when you watch those episodes.
I like the episode where they come back and he's like, she loves my calves. So he keeps like unzipping his pants to show her calves off. That was so good.
Those two are dream relationship goals.
Absolutely.
Is Marshall and Lily.
100%. Yeah. Relationship goals. Lily pad and marshmallow all day. Like they're the best. We also, on the flip side, get to see a hunter, if you will, which he calls himself in this episode, of Barney just being Barney, which, this show is, I mean, without a doubt, one of my top 5 favorite shows. I love it. Yeah. I've seen it all the way from first episode to the finale. I don't know, at least 6 times. And
I'm probably like three times myself. I've watched the show a lot, but yeah.
Yeah, it's just one of those great nighttime shows you can put on. You're good for at least 3 laughs. You get to see like some good things happening. These young people in New York who have awesome friends and they get into these crazy situations. It's just like this cast was a dream cast that they put together.
What's funny is it does the same thing that we see with Star Wars with a lot of really successful shows where everybody around the main character is interesting and fun. So you could put yourself in as the main character. Because Ted has no personality and that's fine. But that's the point. Like Luke Skywalker really doesn't have much of a personality. It's fighting alongside Han Solo that's dope. And so it's the same thing we see with a lot of things. Harry Potter is kind of milquetoast, but Snape is awesome.
Yeah.
And I love like Barney. Like how much do you want to hang out with Barney?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, yeah. He does have an arc though, Ted. He eventually gets a little neurotic, and then he tries to be the bad boy and the party guy, and then he tries to be, most of the time he's Mr. Relationship, head over heels, and he does get to change a lot. Barney kind of is Barney most of the show all the way through, and in this one we finally see, I don't know if we finally, but like this is one of the first times I remember him, I don't know if you want to call it stooping low, but like doing something that you wouldn't think Barney would do, or you're like seeing the depths he'll go to like bag a girl.
To me, in my opinion, it's the first time we see a dent in his armor because we see like he doesn't succeed immediately at something. Right. And in the later episodes, you see how flawed Barney is, especially when the Robin episodes and him come together. You see that he is a beaten up knight. His armor is all shattered up. Right. But this is the first time you see that first dent because before that, he's always just this guy that comes in. And they have an entire episode dedicated to this, the one with Philadelphia Belle, where he comes in and he's just like, let's do this thing. Challenge accepted, and they go for it. And he's just always been kind of perfect. And then this is the first one where I was like, oh, wait a minute, he's flawed. And this is the case.
You're right. It's interesting. The first challenge he accepts, he kind of fails at. Yeah. Like, I mean, he gets kind of the job done, but he doesn't get the A+,
He doesn't get the A+, and he is going to need a lot of treatment.
Yeah.
Do you want to do the quick rundown?
Sure. Yeah. Let's run this bad boy down.
All right, here we go. You're starting now.
Okay, so we open up with an amazing monologue from the late, great Bob Saget. Oh, I love that part about every episode. Yeah. We see that Lily is back from San Francisco, and she's trying to figure out what she wants to do. They find out that she is working at the Big Wave Luau, which is hilarious, and they fully razz her about that. Marshall then admits that he's having trouble at school because of his professor, who's been, a little tougher, or has been a lot tougher because she went through a divorce. Barney goes, she's a cougar. And he says, I accept your challenge. Thus, challenge accepted is born. But we also meet Mr. Druthers, who is played by Bryan Cranston. He is Ted's boss, and he's kind of a douche. And Lily's trying to find a job. He says, hey, come work for us at this architecture firm. And she sees that Druthers is kind of a douche. And so she takes his 3-time signed baseball and is trying to teach him a lesson. Where do we go from there? Mr. Druthers is not happy about it, says he's going to start firing people. Ted then fires Lily. Then the meeting happens where they're going to show him this big building that they're creating. I guess it looks like a penis. He decides not to. Ted then shows him his own personal creation that he's making. And then from there, we see Barney in the hospital because he's got with the professor. He's injured.
You still got time on the clock, man. You did really good.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you kicked butt on that.
Yeah, that's it. And the professor gives Marshall a B+. And then Barney goes B+. Yeah. They're like, Barney, you got to give it up. You got to give it up. Yeah. This is a fun episode. 2 big actors
in this one. So we had Bryan Cranston, of course, playing Hammond Druthers. We also, actually 3, I'm sorry. We had Charles Robinson from Night Court. Do you guys remember Charles Robinson from Night Court? He played the guy that was like buying the building. He's a pretty good actor.
Yeah.
Yep. And then the third guest star, the one that's more popular, is Jane Seymour, who plays the professor, and she's got
Professor
a lot of
Lewis.
things. But she's in the 90s, you guys probably remembered as Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, but she's in this.
Yeah. So, that was another great thing that this show did. I mean, we'll get to specifics of these cameos, but How I Met Your Mother was fantastic at doing cameos. Like, I think Friends did a great job with it too, and it opened some doors for shows like this. I mean, other shows have done it too, but this one, they killed it on some of the cameos. Like, it was just so good all the way through.
And this is before Breaking Bad. So this is Bryan Cranston looking and feeling like Malcolm in the Middle.
Right.
So that's great. Yeah.
But a little bit more evil. Like, I love it. So like he was more like Malcolm in the Middle, but a little bit more evil in this one. And then we get to see a completely different character where he goes full evil in Breaking Bad.
Yeah, so, this one's more like Arch. Like, he's evil like you'd expect somebody on stage to be evil.
Right.
You know, like twirling his mustache while he's talking about his Pete Rose baseball signed 3 times.
Exactly. Yeah. He's like, say she sucks, Ted. Yeah. You could say she sucks, Ted. Now say it louder. And then, makes him say it so the whole office can hear it. Yeah, he's funny in this.
Yeah. What were some of your favorite parts of this episode? For me specifically, it's got to be the fact that, Ted's trying to balance Lily, who's this whole new force in his office, but he's also got a very kind of like tenuous relationship with his boss. And so he's trying to find a way to balance the two. And finally, he like finds the courage to stop her, but he doesn't have the courage to talk to his boss until finally he realizes he's wearing pants that Lily stole for him. That's like, oh, okay, now that's the trick. But the whole time he's balancing something, it's like such a social dynamic problem for him. I like that. They portrayed it very well.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't think that actor who plays Ted gets enough credit. He does a really good job of playing the normal guy in situations. Yeah. And you're totally right, because he has this friend who's been one of his best friends for a very long time. And then he has his boss who he kind of admires. He goes, I can't tell Drummond what to do. He's that on this pedestal. And yeah, he's in a tough spot, but eventually he realizes what she was telling him. And he's like, you know what? I got my justice pants on. It's time to show them my design, because they don't want penis building.
Yeah. I'm going to challenge you right now. If you could give me the real name of the main character of this show that you've seen 5-6 times, I'll pay you $10. I'll PayPal you right now.
Ted Mosby?
Ted? Yeah. Well, no, what's his real name?
Oh my gosh. I see it all the time. And right now I cannot think of it. Oh, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, that's easy. $10 you could have made right there. It's Josh Radnor.
Radnor, yeah. Oh my God. I knew that. Yeah. And it's like crazy. I can know Jason Segel,
Kobe Smulders, of course, MCU now.
Yep.
Neil Patrick Harris,
obviously. And I can't think of
Allison Hanning.
She's always the hardest for me because she doesn't look like an Allison. She's either Lily or whatever her name was in American Pie. I bought that. Yeah. But to me, she doesn't look like an Allison.
Fun fact that's not in my fun fact, so I'll just mention it now. Pam from The Office originally went for this role, but then she saw Allison Hanning in the room with her while she was trying out for it. She's like, oh shit, well, I'm not going to get this one. And then she ended up going to The Office after this.
Wow. Can you imagine? Yeah. I mean, it would have been a completely different show, but like thinking, oh, I can't get it because of her. But she only did American Pie at that point.
But if you think about it, this is a sitcom that pulled together like Neil Patrick Harris, pretty good star.
Yeah.
Jason Segel went from Freaks and Geeks. So it's funny that we had challenge accepted from the show and then Freaks and Geeks, Geeks and Freaks. So
yeah,
we had like some kind of established stars for this random sitcom, which we don't normally see, you know? It was kind of interesting that they did that.
Yeah, absolutely. It was like Josh Radnor and Colby Smulders were probably the most unknown, but look at what Colby Smulders has been able to do, man. She's such a staple really in the MCU, and she's been on a lot of other shows recently, and she always kills it.
Yeah, and Bob Saget narrating too. Like he's also just a sitcom legend. So
absolutely,
it's a heck of a good. Like they put money behind this show before it even aired.
Yeah, absolutely. The writing's fantastic. I love Barney. I love Barney as a character. Yes. I know he's maybe problematic in this day and age, but just that I can't say that I didn't want to be that guy at one point in my life. Maybe not scheming, not like trying to scheme girls into hooking up with them, but like being confident enough to be like, yeah, I'm going to go talk to that girl, or yeah, I'm going to go out with her. Like that was, I don't know, when I was in college and I was watching this, I was like, that'd be great to have that kind of confidence.
I think we all see ourselves as a Ted, but we wanted to be as funny as Marshall and as confident as Barney. I think that was kind of the guy problem. I always was Ted though, you know?
It's funny. Yeah. For me, it's almost reverse, but like, I agree with you on Ted, but it's like the funniness of Barney and then the confidence of Marshall, because I always felt like Marshall, when he becomes that lawyer, he's like, you know, even when he does the Barney, he'll make up some argument and he goes lawyered, you know? And like, I love that. He was just like the smartest guy in the room.
I actually have that in my notes. Look, I'm referencing my notes for the first time in about 5 episodes.
Hey. Nice. Maybe I should too.
This show established so many both catchphrases and terms I think we use today, because I'm pretty sure this is the first use of cougar.
Yeah. Or bro code.
Or bro code, of course. Bro code. Matter of fact, that's an actual book you can buy that shows the bro code that Barney mentions.
I love that. They made that a real book. Yeah.
Yeah. And of course I saw it in Spencer's. What other store would carry a bro code book? But there's a lot of like sayings that this show comes up with, and it's funny how it kind of found the right demographic at the right time. Later on, they do an episode about like checking Facebook before you go on a date with somebody.
Right.
But other than that, they keep kind of technology out of the story for the most part, right? In this thing, you don't see any of them bring out their smartphone, so it still feels relevant today, because none of them reference their technology much. Yeah,
you're right. They do a good job of like kind of being in all the same places or running, like the circumstances of things is just perfect. Like it works for Friends. It works for Seinfeld. It works for How I Met Your Mother, because New York feels like one of those places you could just run into your friends. You know, like if you frequent the same 3 spots and you're in the same areas, like, yeah, you can probably run in your friend. And like they always end up coincidentally being in the same place. It's just great. And then they have that hub of the bar.
Yeah. Statistically, I think that's the opposite though. I think
right.
In TV land for sure, but I mean like it's the most densely populated place in the United States. You're probably least likely to run into your friend there. But yeah, it just feels like it's so possible.
True. Funny story about that though. I met a guy in New Orleans. We became friends. I lived in California. He lived in New York. I had some work in New York one time. Message him, hey man, let's come hang out. I'm staying here. He go, where are you staying? Send me your address. I Google the address. I'm like, hey man, this looks like the exact same spot I'm staying. I'm not kidding. My hotel room could see into his apartment.
Oh shit.
In New York. Wow. And we had met one other time in New Orleans. It was just the most random, crazy thing. So, I mean, you're right statistically, but hey, it happened to me. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. Have you ever watched, off topic, Only Murders in the Building? You watched that?
So good. So good.
That's a good one too. It's like, it feels very New York, but the entire show, for the most part, takes place in one building. And it's so freaking, I mean, talk about a cast. Holy cow. That's definitely a future episode.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. This show, bringing it back to How I Met Your Mother, it's like the foundation is so perfect. That apartment was like fantastic. It just felt like a young person's New York apartment, maybe a lot bigger for sure, but like a stage
it's a
apartment
thing too. Yeah,
exactly. Like a stage apartment. And then you go down the stairs to, why can't I not think of the bar right now?
McClellan's. Is that right?
Yes, McKellen's.
McKellen's, maybe it's that. Yeah, I'm thinking
I think
Central
you're
Perk, which is the coffee shop from Friends. So
Right.
I'm way off.
Exactly. But it's like this to me felt a little bit more real New York than Friends did. Like,
Yeah.
why would these people all be at a coffee shop? Why are these massive apartments? Like, none of that really like vibed with me super well. Where this felt like it was really a couple, like a bunch of friends who were in their 20s who were just trying to figure out life. And I loved
Yeah.
that.
And I think one of the reasons it kind of feels more real is because we all know their jobs and we even see them do their jobs. Barney to an extent, but
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? Like we all know Marshall is currently in school, but he's got a law degree eventually. Things like that. When like Friends, you saw Chandler in his office a couple times. Like it was very rare that you ever saw anything with their work, and yet they all have really good apartments.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like Monica was kind of doing chef stuff every once in a while. You know?
Yeah.
It was like Joey, like you'd only knew he was working when he was doing Days of Our Lives. When he wasn't working, you're like, how can you afford an apartment in New York City? It doesn't look like you work ever.
Especially as a struggling actor. It's not a great place to be a struggling actor.
Right.
I think Chandler was definitely bringing it home though, because he had a huge office for New York City. Yeah, that dude's got some good. He's paying the bills, and Joey's just his friend, I think. I think Broad City. We mentioned it before, but I think Broad City is the most accurate depiction I can think of New York City as a person who's not actually been there. But to me, like the way it's a small apartment and they are constantly hustling. That show's about the hustle. It's like that feels real.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Man, I'm gonna sound like such a party animal, but like in Broad City, you know, when they go to those parties and like they randomly like stumble in someone's apartment. I've been luckily enough been to New York a few times that it's like, oh, this is legit. Like you're right. Broad City just feels like it's almost like a documentary, except for the like two nuts people just doing like ridiculous things. Yeah. But this show does a great job of it too. Like when you look in the building, you can kind of see out to the buildings. There's a part, and my wife always loves to reference this, and this isn't from this episode, but when Marshall and Lily buy their first apartment and they're like, oh, it's in this new up and coming area, like Do West Tripla, which is like downwind from the West Sewage Plant or whatever was the acronym. And anytime something stinks when we're driving by, we're like, ooh, Do West Tripla.
Yeah, that's a good one.
From that comment, you know, and man, it was great.
I love that idea of like just renaming it. It's a new borough of New York. And that apartment didn't even have like level floors at all. They were just sliding from one side to another.
Yeah.
What a good. After that, I love when they get their own home. And like one of my favorite episodes is the one where Marshall's putting up Christmas lights, and then like some kid, the neighborhood kid, tricks him. It's like, oh, it's just so funny. That is such a good show.
Yeah, I think they like push away the ladder or something, and he has to hang there, or he's stuck on the roof. I know, it's so good. And that's the thing. Like all of these actors, I felt like even if they had pretty decent careers before it, went on to do bigger and better things. Like Jason Segel with Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Like what a classic. I Love You, Man. Classic. Allison, I mean, she still did More American Pies. Again, you talked about Colby Smulders with the MCU. Barney, I mean, Neil Patrick Harris. Like he could do anything he wants.
He's the one that probably had the most going on. And then even Josh, I know he's in a show called The Hunters that didn't do great, but he did very well in it. And so he's still acting and stuff like that, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah, he was one of my favorite parts about that show. Yeah, I tried to watch it. Didn't land super well for me, but he was one of the best parts about it. So yeah, all of them were so damn good, and just their friendship and everything, their dynamic. Like as I was growing up, I was like, I want friends like that. Like I could just like go up and like, you know, hey, I'm gonna be at the, like you don't even have to tell them you're at the bar. They just show up. And you're like, yeah, because when you were a kid, like kids would just come over to the house and knock on the door, and we go ride bikes to whoever else's house, and then find some random game to play, kicking ball or playing Power Rangers or whatever it was. Like they just having that as an adult just seems like so much fun.
I think that might be the through line on all these. The thing that I wanted the most as well. If you think of again Central Perk with Friends or with the Seinfeld episodes, they have that little restaurant, the diner. The idea that these guys are at the bar every night, or can at least probably run into one of them at the bar. That's something interesting. It's again that found family thing where if you go to the living room, you'll see your dad watching TV if you needed to talk about something.
Right.
And we see it here with them just being at the bar hanging out. There's got to be countless days where all of them are busy but one, and they're just hanging out at the bar by themselves, but that has to be okay with them.
Right.
As part of the, you know, I don't know. It seems like that would be okay with them.
Yeah, definitely. Because that's the thing. They started building this community too, right? Like you get to see They know people at the bar.
Yeah.
They start knowing other people at each other's work. You know, they start knowing each other's relationships and the people who are coming in. And that's the thing too, right? Like Robin gets a date with some guy and Ted hates it, but then Ted gets a date with some girl and they all see the crazy in her eyes or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Right. And yeah, I just love like friends that feel comfortable enough to poke fun. It's like something about me where I only feel comfortable teasing people with people I feel comfortable with, if that makes sense.
Yeah, me and Squeaks, we jab each other quite a bit. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, we're always jabbing back and forth, which is pretty cool. Beyond the friendship, though, one of the things I do want to make sure we address, not to change subject on you, but I do want to make sure we address it at some point. Do you think Barney's character could exist in a TV show today?
I think so. Some of the things he would do or say would probably have to be edited. Yeah, I know. I've seen that argument kind of going around the internet a little bit that, ooh, Barney's too, what's the word I'm looking for?
I think it's probably the safest word.
Definitely. Like he's too problematic for this time and place. And it's interesting because I hear the same thing about The Office, and Office is like one of my favorite shows. Do I think Michael Scott says everything right? Absolutely not. But that's the funny part. That's the joke, you know, and it's the same thing
with Barney. The fact that Barney is like so, well, let's be honest, disgusting with women sometimes is the joke in it. And then, of course, it's also the best part of the character is when he evolves past that. But you can't have somewhere to evolve to if you don't start from the bottom.
Exactly. Or see him get slapped and just be like, wow, okay. You know, like
Slapsgiving's a good episode too.
Oh my God. Yeah. Slapsgiving or the bracket episode where it's like March Madness and they're trying to figure out which girl is going around and like basically talking crap about him.
Make the website that's talking smack. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then he goes to each one and tries to apologize and just keeps getting slapped. I mean, all of that is so good. I mean, I'm not one of these people that's like, oh, you know, PC or woke culture is ruining everything. I don't believe that. I think as a society, we have to evolve with culture. And with that, comedy evolves too. And I think that's beautiful. But I think there's also something in there where it's like, we have to recognize the point of this was to laugh at it. Maybe it doesn't land with you and that's okay. And then you move on to something that does. And I don't know. So this still very much lands for me, and I don't know what that says about me, but it still cracks me up.
It does for me too, and specifically because I know that the point is you're not supposed to root for him. I watch It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia all the time. I'm never thinking like, Dennis, you're right. I'm like, these guys are all shitheads, and that's the point. They said that on their podcast. It's like you're supposed to root against us. You know? So I think it's the same thing with Barney. I just wanted to talk about that because I know there's gonna be people who are like, oh, I don't know, Barney's, you know, and it's like, I get that, but
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's such a fair thing to bring up.
I think everybody did a really good job in this episode, performance wise, but I think Druthers is the best performance of this episode. The way he overreacts to things and just like calls them all to a meeting in the middle of the office. Everything he does is like extreme cringe, and it's great.
Yeah, my favorite part is where Ted brings in the trees. And he's like, Ted, I don't know. These trees, I see them more brown or auburn and bushier, you know, so when the building just stands up out of the bushes, it looks, you know, extra big or whatever he says. I'm just like, oh my God.
And I want the trees to be like he said brunette brush around
around the base of it. Bro. You're just like, oh my God. So I love him too in this episode, especially when the ball gets stolen. All of that is so good. When he's trying to get Ted to say all those things to like basically trash Lily, you know, it's just like, oh, he's so evil. But you're right. In a lot of ways, normally for me, Barney steals the show. He's the most wild antics and he's saying like the craziest things and he's got all these catchphrases, possible, whatever it is, right? Normally he's the one that's stealing the show. But in this one, I think you're right. Hammond just comes in there and he just kind of takes over every scene he's in.
Yeah, he was fun to watch. I'm glad he ended up going on to bigger and better things because that actor definitely, Bryan Cranston definitely deserves it. There's an episode of Speechless, which is an excellent podcast and all on its own. It's one of Jonathan's favorites, with him in it, and it's really good. You hear about Bryan Cranston. He was a sheriff at first. He went up from being a sheriff. Yeah. So it's pretty interesting. Check that out, guys. Really good.
He's so whimsical. Like he'd be the best sheriff. Like I feel like he'd be super like fun in a way. I don't know if that's what you want from your sheriff, but I guess
nowadays I'll take a joking sheriff than most of the other ones that I've been seeing on the news.
Right.
But yeah, I'll take a whimsical one. I wouldn't mind Bryan Cranston pulling me over complaining about seatbelts.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's great.
Anything else you want to shout out from this episode?
No, I think we touched on everything. You know, just Barney.
Looks good.
Yeah, everything looks great. You know, Barney, he doesn't succeed to the level he wants. He does accept the challenge. He completes the challenge. Again, not to the level, but it also helps out Marshall. Marshall gets a B+ out of it. That's nice.
Yeah.
And Lily finds her path, like you said earlier. And this sets her up for the rest of the time on the show. Now she's this I don't want to say preschool teacher, but like early elementary, kindergarten teacher.
I don't know. It is pretty early on. It might be kindergarten or something like that. Yeah.
I don't have kids, so I don't know what like the grading. I forgot what comes first, right? But like, seriously. She's some kind of teacher with these little kids, and it's beautiful because it sets her up for the entire path of the show, which is awesome.
I can't tell you how many months old a kid is, but I could tell you how old a dog is. I could spot dog stuff good.
Right, exactly. Yeah. What's your dog? 14 months? Yeah. That's what I thought.
He's my baby.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. All right, ready for fun facts?
Please, yeah. Lay it on me.
Okay, so here's our fun facts for this one. This is the first time Barney has accepted a challenge without being asked for a challenge by anybody. So the reason you picked this episode is the very first one.
Yeah. Nice.
Marshall says his professor is in her late 40s, but Jane Seymour in this episode is 55 years old.
Nice. So okay. That's funny because when that line came out, he was like, I don't know, she's in her early 40s. I felt like they added that line just to be nice to her, if that makes sense. Where I was like, I feel like they were, just trying to make sure they didn't make her feel bad by using a line like she's in her early 50s. I felt like, ooh, you just, you don't talk about ladies' ages.
Here's another one for you. In the previous episode, Marshall is invited to a wedding and he goes with another male. Robin and Ted joke that he's a wedding crasher. Jane Seymour played the mom from the movie Wedding Crasher. So,
whoa,
tie there.
She was Kitty, right? Kitty cat.
Yeah. Hammond Druthers says the line once again with feeling to Ted in front of Lily. Allison Hanning, the actress who plays Lily, starred in the popular Buffy the Vampire Slayer in the popular episode where they do I think it's the one where they do the dancing once more with feeling, which is the musical episode of Buffy. I think it is, which is like, in the, it's classic. It's iconic episode of Buffy.
Wow. Interesting. Wow. Do you think they added that line just as a nod to her?
I think so. Yeah.
Wow.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Lily worked in a themed restaurant like Monica Geller from the TV show Friends. So they basically are saying like they copied that idea from Friends.
Gotcha. I liked it too because it was bringing in all this Hawaii stuff and she was saying it pretty well. So I was like, good on you, Lily.
Yeah. Here's another fun fact. At a Star Trek convention, I don't have it here, Marshall's mom, do you remember Marshall's mom, the actress that plays Marshall's mom?
Yeah.
Okay. So she's also Worf's wife from Star Trek Next Generation. So she's at a convention, and I got to meet her and talk to her for a little bit. And I had her sign the cover of, I wish I brought it with me, it's in the other room, but I had her sign the cover of one of these seasons. Specifically, the season I had her sign was the one where she's at the funeral for her husband's death, and she like kills it acting-wise.
Right.
And we ended up talking for a bit, and she was like blown away because I was the first person ever to ask her for an autograph based off of How I Met Your Mother.
Wow.
And I was like, you killed it in that episode. It was so good because the whole time she's like trying to be on top of everything while Lily's realizing that she needs somebody to kind of like focus her attention on because her husband just died.
Right.
And such a good episode. So I actually have it signed, and it's unfortunately I think it's in the other room. But yeah.
That's so cool, man. That is so cool. You're right. That's such a good episode because at that point she doesn't like Lily, and at the end of the night, right? Lily's like, I'm just gonna be there for her. I'm gonna do everything I can. She's like, I see what you've been doing, and like I appreciate it. And you're like, oh my gosh, it's such a touching episode, along with like all the funny stuff of Robin being like the man, like I got a guy for that, but it's a gal for that, where she has like DVDs and candy and cigarettes and like whatever you need, gum, like whatever you need that day, like she's got it. And so yeah, oh my god, what a good episode. Damn, what a cool experience.
Yeah. She was, her and Jonathan Frakes were like the nicest people you could meet when I was at that convention. But yeah, it was so funny that she was like at first she's like, wait, what? She was like blown away by it. And then she's like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't know, was it in there? So I'm like, no, the funeral, not the one where he died. And she's like, yeah, that was a good episode. You know, so it was just fun.
Oh my
It's cool talking
gosh,
to her about
what an experience, man. That was a class act move right there.
it. Yeah, she was awesome. So it's my turn to challenge you.
Okay.
And just like we were talking about nostalgia during the DuckTales one,
Oh
I'm
boy.
going back to nostalgia. I guess I've got a favorite. We're going with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from the early 90s. That's the first movie of the live action movies.
Oh yes. Go ninja, go ninja, go. Go ninja, go ninja, go. I haven't watched that in so long. I have no idea if that
Same.
stands up, but I just remember the physical prosthetics on them looking so good. I'm like, they looked real to me as a kid. So,
Stay off of Instagram because people keep posting pictures of those prosthetics then and now and how they've like degraded over time.
Oh yeah.
It's like, no, those should be in a museum. What are those doing?
Oh my god.
People are putting them in museums now, but they've already kind of degraded so much that's kind of like, oh, that's not great. You know?
Yeah. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm happy about this choice. I love the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and just watching Power Rangers, which we did, I feel like they're kind of bundled up in my memory as a kid.
Yeah.
So
And they're in the comics a lot of times too.
yeah. Oh
Yeah.
my God. Great choice. Great choice.
Yeah.
I'm happy about this.
That'll be a lot of fun. There's so many shots that I could still remember, like the one where they're getting the pizza through the grate, or when Raph got his ass kicked and like they're trying to like be on this farm and repair up. I remember him sitting in the tub, just kind of like not fully there, and like as a kid, like, oh my God, will it be okay? You know?
Yeah. Oh my
There's so many
gosh.
iconic moments. So good.
Man, I'm gonna tell you, that was trauma for me as a kid. We're gonna
For
go
sure.
into it.
Yeah, and nothing felt better than watching Shredder's helmet get smashed in that damn garbage truck.
Oh yeah.
You're a
Oh,
punk.
yeah.
All right, guys, join us for that one. That'll be next week, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Aloha.